We are live.
We live.
We're live. This is a Greens and Machines Convention 2.0. If you remember around sometime it was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago, around same like a month ago.
Yeah, we had a meetup. We don't always get to meet up, but today seems like a great day given that we're in the same room sitting next to each other to discuss projects.
We've been talking about doing a live stream forever and just never got around to it. So today it's like, you know what, let's just do it. No plans, no scripts really. We have some notes, but whatever happens, happens.
You know, I'm thinking we start off because you don't get too involved with my home brewing. We have the estate blend here. Yeah, look good. You like wine?
I don't drink.
Do you want some?
No.
Okay. Well, I will drink some myself then and see how it tastes.
It's so insulting for me to be on this channel and not partake in your home brewing. I'll smell it.
You gonna smell that? These are from homegrown grapes.
That smells like wine.
Yeah, it better smell like wine. Mostly white. Yeah, they cleared up really well. Look at that. Getting that camera guy. So, we'll start off by talking about this project. So if you recall, this wine, it finished up back in August. That's when we did most of the harvest. So we fermented it. I crushed it with my feet somewhat, or I should say pressed it with my feet.
Yeah, that was the most grapes you ever had, right?
Most grapes I have grown, or most grapes I've harvested in a single year from my own vineyard.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's not bad. I wouldn't call it a perfect glass of wine you buy from a store, but given it's something that I made myself. Got a bit of fruitiness to it. Like, quite a bit of fruitiness. It's not bad at all. So, we'll sip this during the stream. So, which project would you like to talk about right now?
Well, I've just been having so many projects lately. I don't think I ever mentioned it in a video, but the reason I have so many projects is because I take a 1-unit class at the local community college, which grants me access to their shops and their makerspace. So I've just been like incessantly going there now that it's reopened after a year and a half, I guess. Partially out of fear that they close it again, but I think I've just had so much time to think of new projects that they're all just coming out of the box right now. So in the last few weeks, the one video that you've seen so far is the gear machining for the drill press repair. That was like the big project so far. I also did a bicycle crank conversion on my backup bike. It used to have a 1-piece crank, and I converted it to a 3-piece crank because the bearings are so much better that way. And that was a whole fiasco because the thing wasn't like instantly compatible like I thought it would be. So I made a blog post about that. There were all these like tubes interfering with the installation, so I had to file those down, and it was a bit of a pain in the butt, but it actually worked in the end. So that was a good upgrade for that bike. It also has longer crank arms now, so I can go faster. The next projects, the ones that are done but there's no video yet, I built a face mill for facing off blocks of metal, which is going to come in handy for the next molding press project where I cast a bunch of aluminum plates this big. I need to face them, so I figured I'd make my own face mill, which is a fun project because I reuse broken taps as the cutting inserts instead of having to buy carbide, which is expensive. So it's like a ghetto face mill, for lack of a better word. The next project I made last week, which is very exciting, was I made a light box for my DJ setup, and it was for my first DJ performance in over 10 years, which I recently did, so I figured I needed to get some lighting, and I cut out the face on the laser cutter, put some LEDs behind it. It looks sweet. I love it.
I can't wait to see this one.
Yeah, I think that's the next video I got. And then after that, I upgraded my bike trailer linkage because it broke. So the no weld trailer finally got some welding on it because, if you have access to a welder, why not do it?
Could you have done it without a welder though?
I suppose so, but it probably would have taken longer and might not have been as strong, but I've seen bike trailer linkages that don't have welding. You just have to, it's a totally different way of thinking. It's not like as easy as just weld it and it's done. I also built a ladle for the foundry because I think I mentioned in the last casting session that my first ladle wasn't big enough, so I had to pour the round stock mold in 2 shots. I built a bigger ladle so I can just do it in 1 shot. And I also am building a dolly for my foundry equipment so I don't have to lift it so far when I take it out and put it back. And future projects, of course, one that I'm actually excited for is fixing the turntable to be direct drive so it doesn't have that loud gearbox on it. I feel like I didn't really finish that project. It was more so like my habit of getting projects done just enough to make a video about it. So this time it's going to be done for real. That's coming up in a few months. I'm also going to convert the soap dish mold to an injection mold and potentially build my machine.
Hey, speaking of the soap dish mold.
Yes.
So how many of those soap dishes did you actually end up making with that?
So I think as far as casting the soap dish out of aluminum, there were 5 total. And I kept 4 of them. I gave one to my friend. There were 3 in the old style before I changed the mold to have the ridges upward instead of down, and then 2 in the new style before I gave up and called it quits. And we were selling 3 of them on Etsy, so there's only 2 left right now. The listing isn't renewed right now, but it will be up soon. So if you're really gung-ho about getting your hands on a piece of Scrap Attack history, there's your chance.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's someone who does want to buy another one after the first one already sold.
Yeah, it's...
So if you want to get your hands on it, be quick when the Etsy listing pops up.
So I'm planning to convert that to plastic because plastic soap dish seems more useful than a metal one. And it's a new process I've never done before, so it should be fun to learn about it. And in addition to the molding, the grain mill might be converted into a plastic shredder for recycling plastic because I realized that design wasn't the best for grinding grain. And my teacher gave me this idea to make a plastic shredder, so hey, why not just combine them into one project? And another project which came up to me this trip actually, one of the wheels on my suitcase is failing. It like cracked in half. It's like plastic. So it makes it really hard to move around. So I think I'm going to just take the wheels off and put some better wheels on the suitcase. I think I have some casters the right size from a garage sale. That should be like a 1 or 2 day project. Pretty easy one.
Should be easy, but I want to see what your wheels end up doing there.
Yes, and I hope that the airport security doesn't like flag it as something suspicious. Just having these like non-original wheels bolted onto the suitcase.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
I'm sure they're smart enough to know the difference between modified luggage versus something dangerous. I mean, I've carried that soap dish on the plane more times than I remember.
A soap dish went on the plane?
Yeah, in my carry-on. Like,
what?
At least 2 or 3 times.
I didn't know this.
Because I took it to that foundry convention.
Oh.
And I didn't have a check bag.
Oh. How'd they let you through with that? That seems bizarre.
It's just a soap dish.
It's a big aluminum soap dish.
It's not like it was like cast iron like that, a blunt object.
Like this mic stand.
Yeah.
It is, but really though.
You gotta remember, I carry on that big old cassette player.
Oh yeah.
With the modified like outlet panel that's like shaped kind of like a blade. That's metal, but it's hot glued in there, so it's not a weapon.
It's not a weapon.
It's just a modified cassette player.
You know that soap dish That's kind of a blunt object, but I won't go further into talking about that. But I mean, TSA lets you bring through many different things.
Yeah.
Like trying to bring an Xbox through, and your TSA guy is a big Sony fan.
Oh.
I had that happen once.
I think I remember that. Was I there?
Maybe. At least in my case, when I go through TSA, it's always remove my laptop from my case. But then, like the last time I went through, actually, they didn't tell me to pull it out of the case and just said put it through. And I was very confused as to why. And again, this laptop is kind of a dinosaur now, so maybe I'll be looking to upgrade that in the future.
Oh, speaking of laptops.
Oh, speaking of laptops.
Yeah, that scrap top project, it really, like, spurred me to get back into my DJing career, which is how I got that gig, like, last week. I took the scrap top, I took my new light, it was an awesome time. I might make a video about that on my other channel, but maybe not. But
Yeah, speaking of that, like, how is hauling that giant thing around, though? Did anyone actually comment on that while you were at your gig?
yeah, people liked it.
Oh.
I was, there were some other people that were trying to DJ also because they were going to split the time up and they were going to like DJ off Spotify or YouTube or something. I'm like, well, my computer doesn't have internet, so sorry. That was the thing I wanted to mention is I completed the latching mechanism on the scrap top, which I left, it wasn't complete at the time I made the video. So now it's actually, you can latch it shut, you can just lift it by the handle. It's pretty heavy, but no heavier than, I say, my turntable or mixer case.
Were they trying to use your laptop to stream the songs?
No, it was just, like, suggested. Like, all my music was on the hard drive, so it kind of prevented anyone from trying to use it.
Yeah, I play this song, but I don't have that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I go to a wedding or something, or even like a bar and request a song, they'll find it. But then again, typically they just have like a list, like a booklet you just flip through, especially for the karaoke ones, you know.
Yeah, and I had it set up where I could plug someone's auxiliary cord in if I had to, but I think they were satisfied enough with my set that no one complained or tried to kick me off.
Well, that's good. I mean, how long did you go for?
About 5 hours, a little less.
5 hours. That's a long time. So that's pretty good if they didn't kick you off that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't that many people there. It was like 20 people at most.
Well, good job. The DJ crew's back. Cheers to that.
Yeah. Another thing I built for that show was I built a mic stand. Not like this one. It's like a pole sticking up and then a boom coming off of it. That way I could perform some of my own songs while using the turntable at the same time.
Did you have to like have a special thing to put in front of the mic? I know if you're watching the stream, you can't see the mic. It's like, I guess you can see like the tip of it right there. Well, now you can't see it anymore.
You mean like a filter?
Yeah, a filter. Good cat or dead cat thing, you know. the big boom mic, you know, when you're holding it out.
Like that big foamy thing?
Yeah.
No, I didn't put it on. I didn't really need it. But, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, the base of the mic stand was made out of this big old cast iron flywheel from an exercise bike I took apart. The vertical shaft was made out of a curtain rod because it had a threaded insert in the end, so I just screwed it through the bottom. And then I made this linkage out of that scrap aluminum I cast, which was a poor material choice, by the way. I'm going to remake it out of steel because cast aluminum and fatigue strength don't go that well together, in case you didn't know. But it worked. It's still working, actually.
Okay.
And then I made all the adapters and stuff for attaching the curtain rod to the flywheel.
Oh, very good. So that's some of your projects. So we'll come back to some of your projects and I want to talk about some of mine.
Yeah.
Behind me, though, scoot back. There's two projects over here. One of them in that bucket right there. I'm not sure how well you can hear me, but that's where the Syrah is. My winemaking, which I just sent out a 20-something minute long video detailing how we got to that point. So it's been sitting in that fermenter for quite a while. I can't remember in the end of the video or not if I showed the part where the day after I started fermenting the wine, I ended up finding a leak in that bucket, which I think was spurred by the fact that I was using that potato masher or stepping into the bucket to press the grapes. But there was a slight leak that was kind of getting plugged by all the sediment. And because of that, the leak was just very slow. But on the bottom of that containment in there, like there was just juice, and like it shouldn't be happening. There shouldn't be juice in the bottom of there. So I had to pull the bucket out and sanitize a new bucket and dump all the stuff into the new one, which would have introduced oxygen. Not necessarily good if you're making wine, but given the fact that it's leaking, I'd rather it be in a container that's not leaking, you know?
Yeah, you don't want it spilling over.
Absolutely not. So that's back in a new bucket. It's settling out now. I haven't tasted it since the day we pressed it, and tasted very, the way I would describe it is not ready yet. Very unprocessed. So the other project that my body's blocking is this green filing cabinet here. I did tease it on the community tab about finding it on the side of the road and stripping all the paint, essentially priming it, and then painting it a brand new shade of color. It was this really ugly orange before, and now it's this lovely forest green color.
Yeah, it turned out great.
It turned out great. The only thing that's actually wrong with it, though, is like the little windows where you can put like something that says, here's what's in the cabinet. They're kind of busted because when I had to pull them out, they're kind of like little weak metal tabs. I'm not sure if I can find new ones or not, but eventually I can just probably drill some holes in there to put them in place. Yeah, I got pop rivet even. Like, let me go grab it. You see that? Like, there should be this little tab there, and
it broke off
because I had to like fold it. Well, this one I had to fold back one.
See, that's fatigue strength right there.
Yeah, this is the
Can't
cheapest
bend it
like
back.
pot metal ever.
Oh, is that steel? Oh no, it's too light.
I don't think that's steel.
That'd be aluminum.
Well, I don't know.
See, aluminum and fatigue strength don't go together.
But I mean, you get a nice filing cabinet for free on the side of the road, except you have to pay quite a bit of money restoring it with all the paint and.
That looked like it took forever to sand.
Yeah, you know what we did though? What I did? It's called orange goop. I used that orange goop paint stripper. That really helped. Sanding it alone with just my hand without any chemicals, that was not pleasant. It was absolutely not pleasant at all. Like, I was spending like days and hours like just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
So the paint stripper isn't just orange goop, it's a different product?
Yeah, it's like an orange paint stripper.
Oh, okay.
You can dig the link online. Orange.
So I was just imagining you smearing orange goop on it.
Yeah,
and
here it is. It's
sanding
called Citrus Strip. It's not that expensive, and I used the whole thing. Yeah, that stuff is. It had an orangey smell. It didn't smell bad.
Not like the Bondo I had to use.
No,
turntable.
no, not at all. Like the orange stuff, though, I mean, for most of that project, I would say for the parts that were important for keeping my lungs safe, I bought a respirator for that. So that was kind of a big bulk of the expenses for that one. That now I have a respirator if I find any more furniture on the side of the road. And especially in this neighborhood that I live in, there's a bunch of old houses and people moving in and out, especially with everyone trying to get the best value on their house. There's a lot of furniture on this side of the road to take advantage of. So if I find a good one I can fit in my car, that'd be great. One day I was driving by a house, they had a nice like little dresser out front. I was like, oh, this would be perfect. And I tried putting it in the backseat of my car and it didn't fit. And like, it was not pleasant. So that's a video I need to edit. I'd probably do a short, or maybe make it a two-parter, then like a third-parter where it's like 10 minutes, and then like a one that's like 25 minutes or something long, showing everything. That's the idea I want to do with that. So it was kind of bad too. Like the week I was doing all the sanding, it was like over 100 out. I was in the shade, but that was like, and also like the day I was able to paint it the first time, it was like 111 outside.
Wow.
So I had to wait a bit in order to do that.
I wanted to mention, since we're talking about painting stuff, I feel like painting stuff is one of my least favorite parts of the project. It's like
Really? I like that.
It's like painting and anything. Two least favorite parts of projects: painting and anything to do with sheet metal.
Hey, guess what?
That's
got both
the
right there.
entire thing right there. Well, I'm talking about like cutting sheet metal, drilling sheet metal, anything, fabricating sheet metal. It just takes forever, and there's so many sharp edges you have to deburr.
Really?
Like when I made the scrap top, that thing took me forever. But the last thing I had to paint was the new linkage for the bike trailer. And that took me a while to get around to, because I was like, alright, it's done, it's welded, it works. Ah, now I have to paint it. So sanding it, getting all the rust off,
Oh.
wire wheeling it as good as I could. It wasn't even that big, it's like this. It took me like a few hours to spray paint it, but it's just one of those parts of the project that I don't look forward to. I need to change that.
I like painting. I mean, I just throw my mask and then primer out, and then wait a day, come to the base coat. But it's like the part about rattle canning, that it's like when the orange peel starts to show up inevitably, it's kind of like, oh, makes you cry.
I think the other displeasure of painting is that I was never formally taught how to paint stuff.
Well, neither was I. I just kind of watched some videos. Like the main one was a guy who was he was rattle canning the hood of a car or a truck he had. That was one of the best ones I've seen. And I kind of did that technique for my car, which is a beater, essentially. And I'll probably have to do it again, given all the paint that's now starting to peel again, given how old the car is getting.
Yeah,
And the fact that it stays outside instead of a garage now. So that should be a little fun project. There's a lot more surface area to work with, so I don't have to nearly mask as much material. It'd be a bit more, probably just redo the whole roof, but color matching that shade isn't...
Or just be like that guy with the two-tone on the roof.
Yeah, I could do that. I just don't know if the police will think, like, hey, this is an old cop car, why do you have a different color roof here, huh? And I think they only care about the doors in this state. Like, if you have the black car with the white doors, they're like, nope, you gotta X them out. Gotta X them out. Ooh, we have a comment.
Hey!
It's our buddy Matt from... Hello. Yeah, he does all the Foundry stuff too.
Yes, our devoted Foundry follower.
So how's the aluminum round stock project going?
I feel like I didn't make the follow-up to that yet, but I was able to cast 12 of those aluminum bars, like 11 or 12 inches long. And I was machining some stuff out of it, and it machines really easily because it's so soft. The grain structure is probably really like a big grain structure, which means it solidifies slowly, so that makes it soft. Downside, it's not as strong, and you can't get as good of a finish on it. But for the type of stuff you make with it, like the first thing I made was a handle for my socket driver to replace the plastic one. That was good enough. It's not like we're building like landing gears for airplanes with this stuff. It's good for general purpose when you need something made out of metal, but it doesn't have to be that strong.
So what have you made with it so far?
I made that socket driver handle, the mic stand hardware. There's one more. What was it? Well, anyways, my next idea was to try making like a miniature baseball bat keychain, or
Another one?
miniature. The original one was like this long. I made it. It was a school project, but I have this big round stock now, so why not double the size?
A big bat. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could do that.
not like the kind that'll fit in your pocket, but
Something you could just like put on a wall, like in the back. Or not hang it from a wall, but like hang it on a desk. Maybe get like a little wooden stand that you just put it on, you know?
or I'm thinking, you know, in class when the teachers have the bathroom key attached to something really conspicuous so people don't accidentally walk away with it.
Why would you waste a good piece of metal for that, though? Well, I guess you can do whatever given that.
People like baseball.
Yeah, people like baseball. Given that you're a machinist, you can just have anything be that. Like, you can just have a giant, like, sheet metal that says L or something on it. You know, dead weight.
One of my teachers was, I think the weirdest thing he made people do was, it wasn't even attached to the key or anything. He just had this like a artificial duck on his desk. He's like, if anyone asks to use the bathroom, he's like, all right, you need to take the duck with you. Like no explanation, like just take the duck. That's how like you know someone's in the bathroom. Like the duck's not there.
What if they leave the duck in the bathroom? Or was it made out like a wooden duck? Or
I think it was wood.
it was a wooden duck, so that's something you wouldn't want to damage, like a nice carved wood duck, you know.
Yeah. Just to give the students some kind of accountability, you know.
If you were the teacher, say you take the grapefruit with you, right? So, what other fun projects do we have here? I know I haven't been doing too many gardening projects. Moving is tough on the body and the soul, I would say. So I haven't really gotten it reestablished. I do have a few herbs outside, though. I got a mint. The neighbors actually have mint growing in the ground, which is a big no-no. As a
You wait long enough, you'll have some mint, right?
Oh, yeah, I've got the mint already, because I just went over there, grabbed a few cuttings, and propagated them. So now I've got mint in my own little container. The other plant is basil, which I had one of my roommates bought a basil plant to cook with, and then afterwards he was done, I just put it in the pot outside, so now it regrows so he can have whatever he wants. So,
yeah, I've got a little basil plant growing in my window garden in my room. I also planted some peas, and they're doing really good because I get direct sunlight this time of year. And the pea plant just expanded the whole length of the window. I think I harvested my first pea pod before I left, and there's a few more on the way. And that's pretty good for a 1 gallon container indoors.
Indoors, and it's October.
Yeah, I feel like peas are like the one thing that always grows for me.
Peas grow, yeah. For especially where you live in this climate, peas should always grow, like, even where I'm at right now. Like, the things that will pretty much grow in winter here, it's like peas, lettuce to an extent, kale will always grow, Swiss chard will always grow. Carrots I've not had much success with in the winter, but out of the winter, yes. Bok choy and cabbage do really well this time of year too. Like, if you want to grow any cabbage right now, you should have like planted them like 3 weeks ago. So, just do one. So in any case, we've been going at this 28 minutes.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? Any other projects I want to remember? We're chatting. I was talking about the garden and reviving the hydroponics. I know a lot of people are definitely into the hydroponics, especially like learning what kind of pump to use for a system. I'll tell you, my pump's still doing well. But I'm sure a lot of people want to know how to build my system. I'm working on a kind of an ebook technical package on how to build it. I haven't really finished it yet, but I'm really close to, mostly because the computer that has Microsoft Word is not my main computer, so I haven't been able to finish it yet. And I never get around to it unless I'm on vacation or something with it. So it's pretty close to being done. I just need to put it together, publish it, then it'd go in the Etsy shop.
You should have told me to buy that Microsoft Office 2003 disc at the garage sale.
Nah, but no.
I'm using 07 still.
07? I'd rather have just have the 2012.
I still have the disc for it.
That's what I have on that computer. Office is such a finicky program, but I'm not going to get into that. No. Yeah, that's where the hydroponics is. Like, I can never get my seedlings to survive to get the garden started. And where it kind of is now, it's a little shaky. I wish it was in a better location slightly, but I think it can make do with when I finally get it activated. So it should be fine. No. So any more projects for you? So what's the next video we're going to see? You mentioned it was
The light box.
light box. I think for me, I think the only real thing on that I could edit is the filing cabinet, so that'd be the next one to come. Unless I did another slight video talking about the mishap with the wine bucket.
Yeah, well, I think that's it on my part.
Oh, I did have one kind of crazy idea. I saw an article on it I could probably discuss. There was some article about, like, back in the day, there were a bunch of monks. Like, I'm talking 1600s, maybe even earlier. Like, they would only drink beer through, like, Lent or something because the law, or what was it? Religion pretty much stated that during Lent you couldn't eat solid food. So they made beer. So there was some article about some guy last year who essentially just only had Doppelbock, like, for the 40 days of Lent, like 4 or 5 Doppelbocks a day.
A beer only diet?
Yeah, a beer only diet, and he lost like 22 pounds.
I'd imagine.
So that would be something interesting to try. The problem with making Doppelbock, though, is because it's a lager, you'd either need temperature control or somewhere really cold to, like, ferment it. Given that it's winter, though, I could try lager yeast and putting it out in the garage, like, once it gets below 40 degrees at night. I don't know if that's cold enough, especially for lagering, but I think it's worth trying, like, kind of... Because the monks didn't really have temperature control. They just had very cold caves, you know?
Does it have a lot of calories?
Yeah, it's a very, very heavy beer.
Huh.
Like, typically Doppelbock would be at least, like, 7 to 8% alcohol by volume, but you'd use, like, some of the maltiest malts ever. So it would leave behind a lot of insoluble and unfermentable grain. So it's just it's like drinking bread. So that's why they'd make it. I think the fun thing from the article I was reading about, like, how that got approved that they could drink that beer, like, they sent a sample to the Vatican to get the Pope to sign off on it, and in transit the beer spoiled. So when they had it, it's like, well, this is a punishment enough for them to drink it. Even though on their end, when they're drinking it, it's like, this is kind of a blessing. So
that's more strict than any diet I've ever tried.
I mean, it's kind of strict. I'm not sure how nutritious. I'm not sure if you get all the nutrients you need from just beer alone, but given you get, like, water, well, the grain provides a lot of nutrients in the malt. The alcohol, empty calories, sure, whatever. And then I guess you have somewhat reminiscent yeast. I can't really say, but it
doesn't sound too nutritious.
No, you'd probably have to eat fruit or something, but given that they weren't allowed to, unless you, like, made juice out of the fruit or something. So I don't know. That's just kind of some random thoughts there. Like, if I brought back some brewing, I would try maybe doing a Doppelbock. I know they have some lager yeasts that, like, actually fare the higher temperature as well. They call it, like, the California lager strain. So,
hey, if you need a kettle, you can take that one from the foundry that I don't need.
I've got plenty of kettles here. I've got a propane tank. I've got a burner. I'll be okay.
All right. Yeah, my friend, he brought over this beer keg thinking it was aluminum and I could melt it. Turns out it's stainless steel, and it's a brewing kettle, not just a keg. So
like mine.
I've just been using it as, like, a stool to sit on or put stuff on while I'm using the foundry.
Yeah, it's a very useful purpose for it. All right. Any stream viewers have any questions?
Last call. We got 2 viewers.
Yeah. If you guys like this stream and want us to do more on a maybe weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly basis or something, chat about projects, yeah, we're down to do it. I'm having fun here.
Yeah. Just as long as the technology works.
Yeah, it can make the technology work. Well, all right.
Oh no, the trolls are back. Alright, I think that's it for this stream.
All right. Peace, everyone.